Using his freedom of speech to its fullest extent, it's John James and Freedom's Pep Rally. Now, America's friendliest host, your buddy, John James.
JoeyLynn Mesaros. Geez, welcome back, JoeyLynn. How are ya?
I'm good. Good to see you. How was your Thanksgiving?
Oh, mine was great. How about yours?
It was good. It was great. We ditched all of our family and just did it, the three of us at home. It was pretty awesome.
Oh, that's nice sometimes. It really is. Yeah, we went up with our kid. Both our kids are married now. They have their own families. So every once in a while, one of the kids will do something with their in-laws, and it gets a little more complicated. So my daughter had her in-laws and my wife and I up. So it was nice. It was, two sets of grandparents and my daughter and her husband and her two kids. And it was nice, and it was delicious. So it was good. It was a nice family thing. Yeah. Well, good for you. And today did I get the scroll or the slug at the bottom of the screen correct? Is that right?
That looks perfect. Thank you so much.
No, you're welcome. Today is Giving Tuesday, and it's JoeyLynn Mesaros. It's givesendgo.com/Mesaros. And that's where you want to go if you want to help out. And you're trying to pay legal fees, which are going to be exorbitant, and they are building up as we speak, I imagine. And where are we right now in the fundraising and in this litigation going on? Is it the DOJ that is actually coming after you?
No, sir, it is not. It is individuals, politicians and influencers that are Democrat and liberal, and part of the Biden-Harris campaign staff. So
all right. Yeah.
It's a handful of people that are teaming up.
Because they were triggered. They were triggered by a perfectly legal display on the highway in Texas.
Yep, absolutely. I don't think they understand what our First Amendment right is.
That's right. No kidding, right? No. It's too bad they don't, but you're right, they don't. And you did nothing. I mean, there was no violence. I mean, what's the worst thing that happened? A Trump flag flying by a Biden-Harris bus. That's kind of funny.
It is funny. Thank you. And when we can't exist in the same space as somebody that has a different opinion of us, we've got big problems.
Yeah, we do. We have huge problems. And this is absolutely horrible. You should. Here's somebody just said you should turn around and sue them when you win.
Yeah.
Right?
So you know what? Great point. And I'm happy to say that is definitely something that we want to do for a variety of reasons. We want to hold these people accountable. Yeah. They can't continue to get away with stuff like this without understanding their repercussions for abusing power. Secondarily, there's been a great burden associated with this, and defamation, right? And so not just the people suing us, but the mainstream media that has greatly slandered us and associated us with Ku Klux Klan attackers, white supremacists. Right. And additionally, we have identified that through this process, we know there are other Americans going through exactly what we're going through, or things that are very similar. They won't have the resources, just like we don't or haven't had. And it's very hard to get those resources at the very last minute when you realize you need them. So, we'd love to start a fund where we can help other Americans who are defending their constitutional rights, so that we can offer grant funding or some sort of resources to other Americans. And so if we can hold these people accountable, hold the media accountable, and recoup some of these donor funds, we'd love to put that into a nonprofit.
I think that's great. And you mentioned Ku Klux Klan.
Yeah.
Now the lawsuit is under a Ku Klux Klan law or something?
Yes. So just to catch anybody up that maybe didn't hear last time.
Wow.
My husband and I were part of a Trump train, which is where you have a Trump flag or American flag on the back of your truck, and you parade around with other vehicles and express your support, exercise your free speech for President Trump and in America, right? And so we were driving next to the Biden bus, the Biden-Harris campaign bus, which was a billboard-sized sign for their candidate, right? And so, you know, we were driving next to them. It made a viral video. Video went viral last year. President Trump tweeted, "I love Texas," and the mainstream media just melted down over it. And that resulted in a civil lawsuit at a federal level because the occupants of the bus are suing us under the Ku Klux Klan law of 1871, claiming that we banded together on a public highway to suppress minority and Black voter rights, and we premeditated assault, claiming we tried to run the bus off the road, although it drove hundreds of miles unobstructed. And that never happened. So it's replete with lies. So that is the law that we're getting sued under. Because that's the specific law that they chose, it has escalated it to federal court, being a civil rights matter. That makes the costs skyrocket through the roof. That makes the time an attorney has to spend on the matter go through the roof. Additionally, they've got almost 20 attorneys, the largest law firm in the world, notorious for representing the elites, and, you know, multiple nonprofits funding it. So they've spared no expense, and we're just average Americans trying to live the American dream and exercise our God-given rights. And now we're defending them for all Americans. We feel that God chose us. This is an opportunity for us to help those who don't understand their constitutional rights understand that this affects them as well, and that this is something we want for ourselves, our children, and our grandchildren. This is America.
Amen. Thank you. Thank you so much. And I'm telling you, I've tried to think of all of the horrible things conservatives have done to the left over the past year and a half, 2 years. And, you know, with the exception of the never-ending insurrection on MSNBC and CNN, I can't think of a thing the right has done, which leads me to believe that the left is somehow, they can be considered clinically insane at some level. They have no mental awareness of what they're doing, and they seem to have no culpability for what they do, as is evident by everybody who was released last year after they destroyed buildings, the people that are, well, for example, the guy that took an axe, you may have seen this last night, I think it was on Tucker Carlson or Sean Hannity, guy took an axe to a Republican politician's, I think a Republican senator's office, took an axe. He was caught on camera doing it. He axed the door, broke everything, and destroyed literally a lot of property. He identified as Antifa, and he not only got off with probation, but he was given his axe back.
What?
Yeah, and juxtapose that with a guy who was walking peacefully in the House chambers wearing the weird water buffalo hat. He got 4 years in jail for nothing. There's no culpability for the left. What is wrong? This is not right, JoeyLynn.
And they know it. They know it. So they operate within that margin of no accountability, you know, and just really like unruly, knowing they can get away with whatever they want, and then they can just put it under the umbrella of, you know, peaceful protesting, you know, whatever they justify it as, which clearly isn't, right? And then when we actually do those things, then we're terrorists.
Exactly. Right.
And it's so perpetuated with very deep levels of corruption in strategic places, you know, and I think sometimes that's what gets overwhelming to me when I take my eyes off God and put my eyes on the matter. I start thinking about like, well, gosh, you know, this judge that we have, like, I already know how this is going to go, or, you know, you just start, but there, I mean, this is why accountability is so important. This is why teaching them that they can't just do whatever they want and get away with it is so critical. Because this sets the precedent for Americans moving forward, that if you are offended or triggered and you have enough money, you can sue somebody that you disagree with under the Ku Klux Klan law, forever tarnishing their reputation and completely bankrupting them into oblivion.
It's unbelievable. It is absolutely unbelievable. The justice system is broken in this country. It's a one-sided justice. And
Yeah, it is.
it's just not right. I mean,
No.
you look at what happens to our conservatives in Congress. I mean, Ilhan Omar, AOC. You can have Maxine Waters go out there and incite violence during a trial before the decision is rendered. You can have Ilhan Omar say America's a terrorist nation and say all the nasty things she wants to about Jews. And Nancy Pelosi, oh, I understand what she was trying to do. Yet Marjorie Taylor Greene, you have somebody like her, or you have somebody like Matt Gaetz or Lauren Boebert.
Yep.
Say something, and oh my God, we've got to get them out of Congress. We've got to strip them of their committees.
Yep.
It's a two-tiered system, and it's not gonna end well, I'm afraid. That's why I worry about this every day, JoeyLynn. We need to pray. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, this problem is huge, and it takes people like Marjorie Taylor Greene and Lauren Boebert. I can't ever say her last name right.
Yep.
It takes people like that, Matt Gaetz, and then and they know that, which is why they try to discredit people like that and make them look crazy and get them out of there, because they know if there are more people like that, or they unify other people, that they don't stand a chance. There are way more of us than there are of them, and they're running this show the wrong way, not the way that our founding fathers intended, there's hope. There's hope. A lot of people are waking up. It's just such a slow and painful process.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I feel like, this lawsuit has us kind of on the front like a front runner for helping people see that free speech is under attack. I mean, we see it right with censorship on Facebook, social media, like that kind of stuff. I really never even imagined it was this bad. I got to be honest with you, until it knocked on my own front door. I didn't realize that exercising free speech could bankrupt my family.
Unbelievable. Yeah. Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah, I really did, and I feel like I was almost taking that right for granted. I didn't. Yeah. I didn't realize how precious it was fleeting.
Of course, you took it for granted. We all do. We all did, because it was guaranteed. It was given to us by God. It could not be taken or given away by government, and we counted on it. We always have counted on it. And anybody who doesn't see and I don't care if you're left or right, if you don't see what the state is doing to suppress you and your rights, just look at somebody like JoeyLynn Mesaros and her family and see what is really going on here. There is no more free speech, because the FBI will literally do a pre-dawn raid on your house. They arrested a 13-year-old girl and handcuffed her someplace in D.C., and we had a guest on talking about that. I think it was last week. And it's horrible. And, of course, Project Veritas, you heard about that, right? The diary.
Yep.
Ashley's diary. So the FBI does a pre-dawn raid on a James O'Keefe. Why? Well, it must have been a real diary then. And what does it contend? It contends that, Joe Biden took showers with little Ashley, his daughter, and she thinks she was probably molested. Of course, they wouldn't want that to get out. And we know from the Laptop from Hell, which is a book coming out. I can't wait to read it.
Oh, fantastic. Have you read it? No, I didn't know there was a book coming out. I've seen the contents of that laptop and horrified that nobody else really seems to have.
Yeah, I know. You've seen the Hunter and the little girls, including his niece. I think her name is Miranda Devine. I'm looking it up right now because I wanted to do this earlier. Yeah, Miranda Devine. She's from Australia, but she's in America now. She works. She wrote for the New York Post, or I think she did. The story was in the Post, but it's The Laptop from Hell by Miranda Devine. I do not think it is out yet, but New York Post was the first ones to have this hard drive, so I'm sure she's got the 411 on it, and there should be a lot of interesting things in there that will come out, but you won't hear about them because the mainstream media cherry picks what it tells. And I'm sure this is going to be one of those things the sheep don't need to know. We'll keep this from them so they won't think poorly of our pride and joy, Joe Biden and Hunter Biden, who continue to do business with China.
Ah.
I know. I'm getting you all wound up here. I'm going all over the place. The bottom line we want to get across now is your free speech has been suppressed. You were perfectly legal in the Trump train, following along with a Biden-Harris bus, peacefully waving flags in a vehicle along with others, and you were chosen to be sued by a bunch of people who were triggered, who were on the bus, even as you were peacefully protesting, and they've got a good chance of winning. And they're considering this, of course, racist. This is a racist act because everything they don't like is racist somehow. Don't know how.
Yes. Have you seen, there's like a meme that's going around and it's got this guy with a piece of tape and then there's a leak spewing out of like a water bucket. He just slaps the sticker on it and then it says racist. like that fixes everything.
I have not seen that.
It's like their Band-Aid for everything. Racist,
yeah,
racist,
absolutely. You're right. Everything is right. I mean, the term has lost its potency. It used to be a real insult. It used to be hurtful. But now it's just, whatever. You know? So what do you call somebody who's really racist?
I know.
And by the way,
a Democrat. Sorry.
Yeah. No. No. That you're absolutely right, though. That's the sad truth. They don't see it. Everything they put onto us is projecting. It really goes back on them.
Yes.
It's they who are pushing the race issue, not conservatives. We just want to get along. We just, go along, get along. We want to be colorblind. They don't want you to be colorblind. In fact, who said? I've got it in some of my stuff here. Somebody said. No, you shouldn't be colorblind. And I can't remember. I wish I could remember who said it. It's in my stuff, and I may get to it later today. But it's just
was in a useful context, right? Like it's important to be able to see the differences. Is that what you're talking about?
Well, it's I guess I don't know if it was Ibram Kendi or who it was. Let me see if I can find it real quick here. As I say, it's just so much stuff. All right. Racism. Oh yeah. You want to sit with me through a segment here?
Yes.
All right. Let's go through this because racism is what this suit against you and your family is based on.
Yes.
Now it's coming from the people. Racism is coming from the people who vehemently claim white conservatives are racist. And they just as vehemently deny that they are the least bit racist, which is a lie. Now, most all racism in America has an impetus in the Democratic Party. That's where slavery came from. That's where the Ku Klux Klan came from.
Yes.
And, it's far left. I don't want to do a broad brush like the Democrats do.
Right.
The far left. And yes, black people can in fact be racist, although people will tell white virtue signaling people will say they cannot be. Yeah, actually they can. And they're mostly progressive left wingers. Now, let's look at Darrell Brooks. Everybody knows Darrell Brooks' name, or as his rap name is, what is it? I forget what his rap name is. He's the Waukesha, Wisconsin killer.
Oh, I can't. Yeah, the rap name.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean the red SUV? That's what mainstream media wants us to call him.
See, that's the thing. This is the problem with the media. Mm-hmm. First of all, he hates police. He hates white people. He even hates the mother of his kids because a week or so before he attacked the parade, he ran over the mother of his children with the same SUV.
Yep.
Mainstream media downplayed the suspect because he's a leftist. He's black.
Yes.
CNN called it an accident. MSNBC said it was the vehicle that caused them, as they blamed the vehicle. Mm-hmm. So what does a black conservative and truly smart person, Candace Owens, do you suppose, say to that? She was on with Tucker. I love Candace. She was on with Tucker Carlson last night. And this is what she had to say.
You cannot just completely put yourself into the dark and remain this ignorant.
Okay. No, that's not the right Candace Owens. Hold on. Let me find her. I want to get this up for you. It's an audio clip. That's the problem. We do have a video of Candace. Here's the audio clip. This is last night on Tucker Carlson.
Goes completely against their narrative. The facts of this case goes against their narrative. They are so race obsessed. And one thing I always say, Tucker, is that the left can pull a racist narrative from thin air where it doesn't exist. But when it actually is in their face, they try to avoid it at all costs, especially when the perpetrator is a black person against another white person, which obviously happens more often in this country, given the fact that black Americans are the most murderous group in America by rate. Now, what's interesting here is that the two biggest race cases of the last 2 years, arguably George Floyd and Kyle Rittenhouse, never actually produced a single piece of evidence pointing to race, right? George Floyd. Derek Chauvin never used racial language or racial slurs against George Floyd during that arrest. It didn't matter. It became the biggest race case in America. Kyle Rittenhouse. That case had to do with 3 white people. It didn't matter. They extracted a racial narrative for that case. Here you have a man who was pointedly talking about white people all across social media, sometimes genocidal, by the way. He was sharing posts from Zimbabwe, news sources talking about the disappearance of white people in the country in the next 5 years as if it was a good thing, talking about how black people needed to raise up violently against black people. Multiple posts pointing to the fact that this man hated white people. He was anti-white. He was a racist. He was a black nationalist. And that's exactly why the media does not want to talk about this case. They also don't want to talk about this case, Tucker, because it goes against their criminal justice reform, right? We're just going to let these criminals out over and over and over again. Right. This man should have been in prison, mostly because for tons of reasons. He has a 50-page long rap sheet, but particularly because the week before he drove another accident with that same van, another accident into the mother of his child. I mean, he was a violent criminal who was allowed onto the streets because leftists and progressives keep wanting district attorneys to release black criminals so that it looks good when you look inside the prisons.
That's exactly right. And Tucker's response, basically, if you examine these things honestly, you'd have to examine things you're trying to impose on the country and admit they're not working. And they're not willing to do that.
They're not willing to do that. And beyond that, let's be very clear, like Daryl E. Brooks was radicalized by the progressive agenda. He was radicalized by the Black Lives Matter narrative. His postings show you that. He believes in the narrative that police are out to hunt black men, that we have to raise up against white people and fight for our place in this country. He's learning that from the politicians, the left-wing politicians, the left-wing media sources that have been forcing this narrative down the throats of not just the adults, but the children in the school system. So yes, he was radicalized by leftist propaganda.
Leftist propaganda, leftist mainstream media, leftist social media.
Yeah.
Where there's turmoil, 95% of it is the causation is angry leftists. Another name for these people, chronic malcontents. They're never happy. They've always got a rage about something.
Right. They've been conditioned to operate that way and to think that way by design. Yeah. I heard Prager University posted something not too long ago about, critical race theory and the systematic racism, right? The theory, well, I guess the way they keep people in that mindset is the victim mentality, right? That victimization. Right. And so and I think we might have talked about this, and I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself.
No,
it just
please.
seems so relevant. Is that in any situation, whether you look at it from a spiritual perspective or not, you just go to counseling, you try to work through an issue with somebody. The number one thing to get over the issue is forgiveness. Even if you don't want to forgive that person, you do it for yourself, right? Like when you forgive somebody, it helps you, not them, right? Like we've heard this from the time we were 3 until adulthood, right? Like forgiveness is critical. Otherwise, bitterness grows inside of you, discontent. And so when you teach people, a group of people, that forgiveness is not an option, that it can't be done because other people can never change, right? You tell black people that white people will always be racist, then you tell them that they're always oppressed. Right. There's never an opportunity for them to grow outside of that victim mentality. They have kept themselves inside of an invisible box, where they feel like their potential is capped. They have limited resources, that the system is against them. And it's just simply not true. But then these people are very angry and very bitter when you don't operate from a place of forgiveness or moving forward from something, okay, like we know that racism has occurred. We know that slavery has occurred, and we know that it was wrong, regardless of who enslaved who, because we know there are many variables there, right? um, holding people accountable for something that they never chose to do isn't a realistic approach to resolving any kind of an issue, right? That just creates division further. It continues the divide. And again, it's by design. And it's just so curious to me that the people who operate from this mindset don't even see that they're stuck there and that they're buying into this.
Right. No, you're absolutely right. Their growth has been stunted by their ideology. And when they're at a place where they are told, no, you are thinking correctly, you're woke, stay woke, you're good. All they know is it's fight, not forgive. It's just fight for what you believe in, fight because the white man is keeping you down. No, that's not a good way to live. It is not a good way. I learn every day, every single day. I learned talking to you this morning, and that's what we've got to do. But the left, their growth is stunted. They already know all they need to know.
Yes,
and you can't tell them anything. And
you cannot have a conversation. You cannot argue. You cannot educate.
Nope.
I've got Jewish ancestry, right? So my grandmother actually fled Hitler. Wow. And so when I try to have conversations, usually it's with liberal nut jobs online, right? Like usually these people are keyboard warriors and they hide behind their computer screens. But, they tell me that I'm responsible for the slavery of their ancestors or, I'm like, okay, well, speaking from a perspective of, a culture that has been enslaved many times throughout history, I don't hold anybody accountable for that. I don't expect any reparations. I don't, and so I would encourage you to step outside of your victim mentality and walk in freedom with me. You know what I mean? Like I would try to have those conversations and oh my gosh, like it just, you can't, and I mean, okay, well, let's go back to the start of time. Let's open the first book of the Bible and let's see that Africans in Egypt enslaved Jews. We don't want to have that conversation. We don't want to start there. We want to start in 1610 with 1619 with critical race theory. Because
exactly. Yeah, that's what where they want the history of America to start, 1619. It's all absurd. You're right. It's all for a purpose. There is method in their madness. There is a means to their end, and we're watching it play out in your case. And geez, I wish you the very best of luck. Today is Giving Tuesday, and JoeyLynn Mesaros and her family are in the process of losing a lot of funds to defend freedom of speech, which should never, ever, ever have to be done in America. But here we are in 2021 with a totalitarian administration and a totalitarian propagandist news organizations all over the country. And we've got to fight back. You can go to givesendgo.com/Mesaros. And I'm going to leave that up on the screen for the rest of the hour. So anybody who wants to help out can.
Thank you so much for telling everybody about this on Giving Tuesday. It's a national and actually worldwide push for supporting organizations that you wholeheartedly are behind and putting your money where your mouth is. It's also an opportunity to get out and do a random act of kindness. It's just kind of it's a push just to unify together, and free speech is certainly something that I think we can all agree is important, and we appreciate everybody's help and support. We're 25% funded to our goal.
That's great.
We're celebrating that because I remember before we'd raised a single dollar, it felt impossible. We didn't think that would ever happen. And so now we're celebrating 25% and we're excited to keep growing. Again, this money will currently help us defend ourselves in federal court. And then we have filed dismissal and filed for sanctions to reimburse our attorney fees so that we can take that money and invest it in helping other Americans in the future.
That's awesome. Give, Send, Go, by the way, is akin to the one I don't want to say. It's a Christian giving organization, right?
It's a replacement. I like to call that the replacement. It's a Christian platform, and it will not kick people off that they disagree with, like GoFundMe. Yes.
Well, listen, I always appreciate your great spirit, JoeyLynn, and I am I'm praying for you and pulling for you in the fight. And I hope we talk again soon, and keep us updated if anything momentous happens. And I hope something
Yes.
good momentous happens in your life.
Yes, I can't wait to give you that update. I appreciate you having me back. It's always good to see you. It's so much fun getting to be on your show. And yes, I look forward to updating you.
Thank you so much, JoeyLynn. You have a great day. Say hi to your family for me. Merry Christmas.
Yes, sir. Merry Christmas. Thank you.